Why are you in my house? Welcome to this video that has a title that I will figure out. Editing? Me? Could you just put it on the screen? There we go. Yeah, that's what this video is. I hope you all have fun watching it. Let's get started. You should talk about Animal Crossing. I can't really say much about it because I've never played it. If you think I should play it on the channel, leave a comment down below. Tips on thumbnailing or expressions. Expressions are pretty straightforward. You just gotta look at yourself. Are you a narcissist? No, you're an artist. You don't hear art in narcissist. It's narcissist, not tarticist. If you look for images of animators, for example, back in the day, like in the 50s, you can see them pulling faces at themselves in front of a mirror while they're at their animating desk because they're their greatest resource, right? Nowadays, you don't have an excuse to not take a picture of yourself or a video of yourself, you know? You don't even have to be a selfie person. I'm not a selfie person, but I am a selfie person when it comes to references. And you can bet your bottom dollar that I'm gonna delete all those photographs before I ever die and I have an obituary because some of those photographs are questionable. For thumbnails, I think it's important to focus on your composition first. That means making your shapes and subjects readable and distinguishable. I think being somewhat quick with thumbnails is important too, since you're just tying down an initial idea, and sometimes there are multiple initial ideas. Can you try another new type of cheese? I recently tried this cheese. I took a picture of it so that I wouldn't forget that I tried this cheese, and next time I pop into Lidl or however you may say it, I will purchase this cheese if it's there once again. You mentioned once or twice that you like to collect all kinds of things. What's your biggest collection? The biggest collection that I still have is my collection of irrational fears. I'm kidding. Biggest collection? Coins that I still have because I used to collect things like gemstones, fossils, Pokemon cards, but I still have my coin collection. I don't really collect them anymore unless I come across a really cool coin, but I love this stuff. It's like having a little piece of history and you can just look at it and be like, holy smokes, this was in several people's pockets at a time where I didn't exist, but boy, this is incredible. Also, perfect opportunity to answer this question. What are your cats' names? This is Gaia and this is Stella. Both known as metiches in this case. What media inspired your art style? Seriously, something about it just scratches the itch in my brain. Glad that I can be that back scratcher to your brain. Anything from Rumiko Takahashi. It doesn't matter if it's, you know, everybody's heard of Inuyasha or if it's Urusei Yatsura, Maison Ikoku. Her style, her humor, storytelling, she's a massive inspiration. Masashi Kishimoto is another person that comes to mind. It's because of Naruto that I started drawing people and caring about anatomy, because if you've read Naruto or if you've seen Kishimoto's artwork, there's anatomy oozing out of every single line and it's insane. What is your favorite game? I really loved Twilight Princess, but then again, Frogger 97. I'm always going to go back to that, and I think it's just a nostalgia thing. I didn't play that many games growing up. I used to play stuff like Cats 5 or those cereal box games where you were Tarzan or there was Timon and Pumbaa and it would come in the cereal box. That's why they're called cereal box games, isn't it? But yeah, favorite game? Twilight Princess is contending with Frogger 97 with that nostalgia hit. What are your pronouns? She, her. What is your favorite drink? A coffee? Delicious. What is the best kind of bird? Probably the hardest question I've ever been asked because every bird is the best kind of bird. Wagtails, cedar waxwings, mourning doves. The list goes on. How can you choose a good best bird? This is gonna become a rant because birds are incredible creatures. Imagine the universe being like, what if we just gave the earth a bunch of flying creatures and they were all excellently shaped? Piece de resistance. Before the French language even came about, the birds were here and it's incredible. I used to be able to name all the penguins because I had a deep obsession with them when I was growing up. I had a notebook, a penguin notebook to become the penguin god. I'm gonna try and name all the penguins I remember, okay? Emperor penguin, king penguin, Adelie penguin, chinstrap penguin, fairy penguin, gentoo penguin, your African jackass penguin, because they sound like donkeys. Wait, then there's like all the ones with the hairdos. The rock. Well, shoot. There's like a magnelelic penguin. Fellas, I used to remember all the penguins, but you know, it's been a while since I remember all the penguins. Anyways, penguins are great, but all birds are great too. And that's my bird rant. What's some good advice you've been given recently? Not just about art, but about life in general. If you're stressed and anxious, you take like one deep breath. And right when you hit the top, you take like a tiny little breath, like a little jump. So you're like, inhale. And then when you're at the top, do a little, and then give out a long exhale. and that's supposed to help release your anxiety. What's your favorite flower? Goddamn, Nuru, there are too many flowers out in the world to say. I love primrose. I've seen a lot of it growing around and about. Primrose is lovely. How do you even start with digital art? I've always been interested, but I haven't the faintest idea where to begin when it comes to programs and tools. In my opinion, you don't need much to get started with digital art. And since you're getting familiar with the medium, what I recommend getting for your inventory is a free program like Krita or Fire Alpaca, and a drawing tablet like this Wacom Intuos. I have the wired version in the medium size, and I use it for all of my work, and it cost me some 80 euros at the time of purchase. That is to say, you don't need a tablet that busts your bank and has enough pressure points that send you into orbit. And if you happen to have an iPad lying around, make sure to check out Procreate. It's a pay once, have for always. How the hell do you fit all this stuff in your pocket? Also, your thoughts on pie flavors? Pie flavor preference can be somewhat regional, which I find fascinating. Pie flavor preference based on where you live is a really neat observation. I love pecan or pumpkin pie with whipped cream on top, but I haven't seen either since I moved from here to here. Pies aren't really a thing in Spain, and I would say that the closest thing that Spain has to a pie are empanadas, and empanadas are usually filled with meat or fish. I was actually looking this up because I wanted to double check that Spain doesn't have some hidden pie, and I found out about Murcia's meat pie, or pastel de carne murciano, which is an old-ass pie that consists of beef, egg, chorizo, y Dios mío, mándame un pastel de carne murciano. Do you only make digital art? I'd love to see a crayon masterpiece. I haven't drawn with crayons in a long time, but I do have this masterpiece that I drew when I was like 4.
Someone explain to me why this isn't up in the Louvre instead of the Mona Lisa, because I don't know. I don't know, man. Look at it. Look at it.
How did you get into art, and what is your favorite medium/thing to draw? I got into art because of my family. My mom is an artist/animator, so I grew up watching her do her thing, and I was like, well, that looks cool, so I did it too. Favorite medium would have to be digital. Oils are really fun. Subjects would have to be birds, cats, and dogs. Are you a self-taught artist, or did you go to art school? As a self-learning digital artist, I'm curious on either your journey in teaching yourself or your perspective of school and what takeaways you carry with you. So I'm a self-taught artist. I didn't go to art school or anything. This kind of ties into the last question. My mom really helped me on my art journey. She gave me very useful tips. I also had those art books where you draw an animal in stages. So it's like, here's a cat. You start with a circle, and then you go on to draw another circle, and then you draw the this and that. I used a lot of that when I was really young. And then once I hit not the books, but the online, I just looked for a lot of resources. Being on social media was important too, because there are a lot of artists there who give away knowledge for free, and it's invaluable knowledge. All of that kind of just mashed up together to create the journey that is my journey of art. And wow, words. How to stop crying while drawing? You can't. You have to use your tears as fuel for your creativity, basically. Do you have any resources or tips for beginners? Practice is the obvious one, but what should new artists be practicing? So I was thinking long and hard about tips for beginners because I feel like we always hear the same ones, mainly because they're true. Practice does make perfect. But here's my attempt at some potentially unique perspectives on tips that I think are important for beginners. Tip number 1, new artists need to practice from life. Your brain doesn't care if you stare at your dog lovingly for several hours a day. If you don't have photographic memory, you're not gonna remember The best kind of sausage is sweet and sour. So take pictures or videos of things, pose in front of a mirror, or stare at people. Inconspicuously, if you can. Because life is a hell of a teacher. This tip actually took me a while to get comfortable with because back in the day, like on DeviantArt, it was considered cheating to use reference. But trust me when I tell you that it ain't cheating. That ideology is akin to, I don't know, baking a cake based on how you think a cake should be baked instead of being guided by the thousands of cake recipes that tell you how to bake a good cake. Tip number 2, practice intentionally. What I mean by that is focus on what you want to get good at. If you're passionate about background, study backgrounds. If you love bridges and trains, draw bridges and trains. Then you can train your brain to bridge the gap between you and a subject. Tip 3, comparison is... Comparison is the what was it again? Comparison is the thief of joy. Yes, that's it. Thank you. That doesn't mean that you can't be inspired or learn from other people. That's part of the journey of being a creative, learning from others. But I feel like there's a fine line between admiring someone's work and comparing their work to your own stuff. And I know this is tough, but try and remember that you have a journey that's unique to you, and you should enjoy it as much as you can. Last but not least, try new mediums. It's crazy how differently art can be experienced if you jump from something like digital art to painting with oils or painting with watercolors. And this isn't a tip or anything, but isn't art like cuckoo bonkers? We're literally conjuring something out of nothing. And if that ain't magic, I don't know what is. So be kind to yourself, because you want to express yourself through an artistic medium. You're making magic, okay? That's how I'm leaving it there. I don't care if it's corny or cringe, okay? As for resources, here are the main ones that I use. There's also a link in the description to a document that I recently found on Blue Sky, which I highly recommend checking out, as it's got a ton of great art resources. Have you heard any good music lately? I'm gonna rapid fire some answers because I can't get enough of music, and I've been listening to a lot recently and basically all the time, so here goes. I've been listening to artists such as Cosmo Sheldrake, The Crane Wives, Miranda, 1915. Individual songs include Chic by Super Guitar Bros, Windows Wave by Cyber Reality, by Marstar Bro, and Bad Habit by Steve Lacy. What animal could you beat in a fight if you had 1 hour prep time, but the animal also has 1 hour prep time? Oh gee, if the animal also has an hour? I mean, I could beat an animal that doesn't have fists. That's a little sad, right? But like, what if it was a slug? Do you use a controller / keypad of some sort? Something like Tourbox, which I've been seeing ads for, but too expensive for me. I don't use a controller or a keypad, I just use a keyboard. Now, I did do a collab with Tourbox a little while back and reviewed their Tourbox Neo, and it was a really nice piece of tech, like really high quality, really cool to use, but it just wasn't for me in the long run. I think this boils down to personal preference. If it's something you want to try out and you've got the money to try it out, feel free to do so, but it is not a prerequisite. A keyboard is enough to do the anything, really. I told myself I'd learn to draw, got the tablet and stylus, but when I pick the stylus up, I lose any vision of anything I want to draw. Do you have any words of wisdom, or is this a me problem? Definitely not a you problem. I feel your pain. A really big tip I have for this is find something to get very obsessed over. Whether that be a TV show, manga, video game, that stuff lights a literal fire under your ass. The other thing I want to add is, yeah, maybe this is corny, but you gotta treat yourself like a tree? That just sounds weird. That doesn't even sound corny. But a tree goes through seasons, right? The tree isn't always in bloom, and your creative itch is like that. You're not always gonna feel inspired. For example, I'm a tree that's been going through a winter. I haven't felt inspired to draw for myself outside of work for a couple of years now. The reason why I've even drawn fan art like this is because I got passionate about the Zelda games. I loved playing Echoes of Wisdom, Twilight Princess, and they gave me the oomph to create new things. I hope that helps a little bit. I hope that made sense. And that's a wrap for this video, folks. Thank you so much for watching, and thank you so much for your questions. It was really fun to just answer a bunch and mix that up with art questions, and I'm crossing my fingers that you maybe learned something new from me. Of course, if you want this art piece as a print, prints are available in my shop, hawkthorn.bigcartel.com. Link is in the description, and I'll catch you on the next one, folks. Sayonara, see you later. How do you end the video? No one knows, but you could write a tune like this, and maybe you could miss a really good rhyme, and that's, yeah.